Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever stopped to think about what the number one threat to our health really is? I mean, we worry about so many things, right? But here's a stat that stops me in my tracks. Globally, for every 10 people who die, more than 3 of them, roughly 1 in 3, die from cardiovascular disease. It is literally the world's number one killer, but there's a truth here that is even more shocking, and it's actually a hopeful one. Up to 80% of these tragedies are completely preventable. 80%. Just let that sink in for a second. So, how do we prevent it? Where do we even start? Well, the answer is right in front of you. It's in your hands on your kitchen counter. It's your plate. Every single meal, every snack is a choice. And with that choice, you are either casting a vote for clogged arteries and disease, or you're casting a vote for clear, healthy vessels and a stronger heart. Today, I want to get really practical with you. I'm going to pull back the curtain on 7 common foods, things I see in so many of my patients' kitchens and grocery carts that are quietly, silently making our blood vessels brittle and narrow. I call them vascular cloggers. And I'm not going to leave you hanging with just the bad news. I'm also going to share the top 10 evidence-based champions for your arteries, foods that are recognized by nutrition experts for their ability to help clean up your system, support healthy blood pressure, and keep your cholesterol in a healthy zone. If you're someone who wants to keep your heart strong, avoid procedures like stents or bypass surgery down the road, and truly age well without your body falling apart, you are not going to want to miss this. Don't wait until your body is sending you red flags and warning signs. Let's dive in right now and start this vascular spring cleaning together. Before we talk about what we should be eating more of, we have to understand what we need to cut back on. Think of it like cleaning out your garage or your closet. You've got to take out the trash and the clutter first before you can bring in the new, beautiful, organized stuff. So let's look at the 7 biggest culprits that can clog up our blood vessels. The first one, salt. I really consider this the number one silent threat to your blood vessels. So many of us love cooking food that looks and tastes amazing, and let's be honest, a lot of that amazing flavor comes from salt. But salt is truly a double-edged sword. The official dietary guidelines are very clear. They recommend that most adults consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per Dalton Y. And for many people, especially if you have high blood pressure, ideally you want to be under 1,500 milligrams. What does that look like in real life? 2,300 milligrams is about 1 teaspoon. That's it for your entire day. The reality, many of us can eat that much salt in a single meal, especially if we're eating out or having processed foods. What happens when you eat too much salt? The most direct consequence is that your blood pressure goes up. Imagine your blood vessels are like a flexible garden hose. Salt makes your body hold on to extra water, which increases the total amount of fluid in your hose, your blood volume. The pressure inside that hose goes way up when your blood vessels are constantly under that kind of high pressure. The inner lining gets battered and damaged. It becomes weak. And once you have a little damage, a little scratch or tear on that delicate inner wall, that's where the trouble starts. The bad cholesterol, or LDL cholesterol, floating around in your blood can start to sneak in. Like garbage getting stuck in a wound, it piles up, and that's the beginning of plaque formation. That's how atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries, starts. And here's the thing we really have to watch out for: hidden salt. You might think, oh, I don't use much salt when I cook. I'm fine, but that's often not the case. We have to be aware of all the condiments and sauces we use regularly. Things like soy sauce, oyster sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, and even salad dressings. And then there's the whole world of processed foods. We're talking about deli meats like turkey and ham, bacon, sausages, pepperoni, canned soups and vegetables, pickles, olives, and even some seemingly innocent things like many crackers, breads, and prepackaged meals. They are loaded with sodium. So it's not just about putting down the salt shaker when you cook. It's about becoming a detective, learning to read those nutrition labels and making a conscious effort to reduce your intake of processed foods. Number 2 on the clogger list, fatty meats. Think about a beautiful, tender piece of braised pork belly or a rich marbled steak. Just thinking about it might make your mouth water, right? I get it. The flavor and texture of fatty meat are incredibly appealing, but behind that deliciousness is a real threat to our blood vessels. These fatty cuts of meat contain a lot of animal fat, specifically what we call saturated fat. When we eat too much saturated fat, it directly signals our liver to produce more cholesterol, especially that LDL, the bad cholesterol. It's like a sticky, greasy residue. This excess LDL cholesterol in your bloodstream is more likely to stick to those damaged areas on your artery walls, building up over time and gradually narrowing the passageway. It's the primary ingredient in those artery clogging plaques. Number 3, organ meats. I call these the cholesterol bombs. Many people enjoy organ meats like liver, kidneys, heart, or intestines. There's an old idea that eating these parts is good for those parts of your body. And look, enjoying them occasionally as a treat is one thing. But if you're eating them frequently and in large quantities, you are really adding to the burden on your blood vessels. Organ meats are incredibly high in dietary cholesterol. Now, your body needs cholesterol to function. It's essential for making hormones and cell membranes, but when you consume a massive amount from food on top of what your body naturally produces, especially if you're someone who is sensitive to dietary cholesterol, it can absolutely drive up your blood cholesterol levels and contribute to that process of atherosclerosis. So for my patients, especially those who are middle-aged or older, and particularly if they already have cholesterol issues, I strongly advise being very mindful and limiting organ meats. Number 4, refined grains. This is a big one because it's our daily staple for so many of us. I'm talking about white rice, white bread, regular pasta, white flour tortillas, and many breakfast cereals. These are the foundation of meals for a lot of families, but did you know that eating too many of these overly processed grains can actually be hard on your blood vessels? The problem is how fast they hit your system. They are digested super quickly and cause your blood sugar to spike rapidly like a roller coaster over time. These repeated high spikes in blood sugar can directly damage the delicate endothelial lining of your blood vessels. It makes the vessel walls rough and inflamed, which again creates those perfect spots for cholesterol to stick. Plus, constantly riding that blood sugar roller coaster messes with your body's metabolism, increases your risk of gaining weight, especially belly fat, and raises your risk for type 2 diabetes. And all of these things, obesity, diabetes, are major risk factors for cardiovascular disease. That's why the dietary guidelines suggest that less than half of the grains you eat should be refined. We need to make room for their cousins, the whole grains. Number 5, processed meats. We touched on this with salt, but they deserve their own spot. I'm talking about ham, bacon, sausages, hot dog, salami, lunch meats, pepperoni. These foods are so convenient, they taste good, and they're everywhere, but they are a triple threat for our health. First, we already covered the massive amount of sodium they contain, which drives up blood pressure. Second, to preserve them and give them that pinkish color. They often contain preservatives like nitrates and nitrites. When these compounds are cooked at high temperatures, they can form substances called nitrosamines, which are potentially harmful and have been linked to an increased risk of certain cancers, and importantly, can also contribute to blood vessel damage. And third, the processing itself can cause the fats in the meat to become oxidized, creating other unhealthy compounds. Eating these foods regularly over the long term adds up to significant health risks. Number 6, foods high in saturated fat. Besides the fatty meats we talked about, we need to be mindful of other sources of saturated fat. This includes fats that are solid at room temperature, like butter, lard, and the fat from beef or lamb. We're also talking about tropical oils like coconut oil and palm oil, which are very high in saturated fat. Now, I know coconut oil has had this huge health halo for a while, but from a strictly cardiovascular perspective, the evidence is clear. High intake of saturated fat increases your LDL cholesterol, and according to the latest dietary guidelines, we need to keep our intake of saturated fat to a minimum, ideally less than 10% of your total daily calories. So while a little bit here and there is fine, we shouldn't be cooking with these fats regularly. And number 7, trans fats. If saturated fat is a villain, artificial trans fats are the arch nemesis of your blood vessels. They are the absolute worst type of fat for your heart. Where do you find them? They hide in the foods that are so hard to resist. Think about commercially baked goods, things like pie crusts, cookies, crackers, microwave popcorn, frozen pizza, also in fried fast foods like donuts, French fries, and fried chicken, and in non-dairy creamers, coffee creamers, and some margarines. You'll find them on the ingredient list as partially hydrogenated oils. Why are they so terrible? Because they are sneaky and they do double damage. On one hand, they raise your LDL cholesterol, the bad stuff that clogs your arteries. On the other hand, they lower your HDL cholesterol. Now, HDL is the good cholesterol. Think of it as your personal vascular cleaning crew. Its job is to roam around, kick up excess cholesterol from your artery walls and carry it back to your liver to be removed from your body. Trans fats don't just clog the pipes, they fire the cleaning crew. It's a 1-2 punch that is devastating for your heart health. That's why major health organizations have been warning about the dangers of trans fats for years. Consuming too much of them significantly increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, and other problems. Okay, so let's pause and take a breath here, friends. I want to be really clear about something. The foods I just listed, these 7 things, I'm not saying you can never, ever touch them again. Life is about enjoyment, and having a piece of cake at a birthday party or enjoying some bacon on a weekend breakfast is part of that. The key here is quantity and frequency. We have to be mindful and intentional. Don't let that temporary pleasure on your tongue become a permanent risk to your future health. Remember that great advice: eat until you're about 80% full, stop before you feel stuffed. That little bit of restraint goes a long way in not overloading your system, including your blood vessels. All right, we've covered the watch out list, the foods we want to minimize. Now let's get to the fun, positive part, the red carpet list. Here are 10 foods that, when you include them regularly in your diet, will act like a team of health guardians, helping to keep your blood vessels clean, flexible, and clear. Let's look at these 10 artery-friendly foods. The first one, fish. You've probably heard that eating fish makes you smarter, and there's truth to that, but it's also fantastic for your heart. I'm especially talking about fatty cold water fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, herring, and sardines. These fish are packed with something called omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA and EPA. These are a special type of unsaturated fat that are absolute gold for your cardiovascular system. They are powerful anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. They help lower triglycerides, can slightly reduce blood pressure, and help prevent blood clots. Major studies have shown that people who eat fish regularly have a lower risk of heart disease and stroke. The recommendation from organizations like the American Heart Association is to eat fish, especially fatty fish, at least twice a week, and a serving is pretty modest, just about 3 to 4 ounces, roughly the size of a deck of cards. That's enough to get a good dose of those protective omega-3s. And for preparation, baking, poaching, or grilling is best. Try to avoid deep frying, which can add unhealthy fats and destroy some of those delicate beneficial oils. Number 2, whole grains and legumes. We talked about the downside of refined grains, so now let's focus on their healthier siblings. I'm talking about oats, oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, barley, buckwheat, and also things like beans, lentils, chickpeas, and split peas. These are all fantastic sources of dietary fiber. Think of soluble fiber, the kind you find in oats and beans, as a little scrub brush for your insides. It moves through your digestive tract and actually helps bind to cholesterol and pull it out of your body before it can be absorbed into your bloodstream. They also have a much gentler effect on your blood sugar, preventing those damaging spikes. So a great rule of thumb is to make sure at least a third, ideally half, of the grains and starches you eat are from these whole food sources. Number 3, milk and dairy. Dairy is a great source of calcium for our bones. But I often get asked, what about the fat in milk? Isn't that bad for my arteries? It's a fair question. The latest research is actually pretty interesting. While whole milk and full-fat yogurt do contain some saturated fat, they also seem to have a beneficial effect on our cholesterol profile for many people. Some studies suggest that regular dairy consumption is associated with a higher level of HDL, that good cholesterol that cleans up our arteries. So for a generally healthy person without high cholesterol or obesity, including moderate amounts of dairy, whether it's whole, reduced fat, or fat-free, is perfectly fine and recommended, about 2 to 3 servings a day. However, if you already have high LDL cholesterol or you're at high risk for heart disease, then choosing the low-fat or fat-free options is a safer and smarter choice. Number 4, soy and soy products. This is something that's been a part of healthy diets for centuries. Especially in Asian cultures, think tofu, edamame, soy milk, tempeh. These foods are not just delicious and versatile, they are true champions for your heart. They contain compounds called soy isoflavones, which are a type of plant estrogen with powerful antioxidant properties. These isoflavones help protect our blood vessels from damage caused by free radicals. They can also help improve the flexibility of our arteries and have a modest cholesterol-lowering effect. Aiming for about 25 grams of soy protein a day is a great goal. That could be something like half a block of tofu, a cup of edamame, or a couple of glasses of soy milk among soy products. Firmer tofu, tempeh, and edamame tend to be particularly rich in these beneficial compounds. Number 5, fruits. This is a no-brainer, but it's worth emphasizing. Fruits are packed with vitamins, especially vitamin C, along with fiber and a huge array of antioxidants. Vitamin C is crucial for maintaining the health and elasticity of your blood vessels, helping them stretch and contract as your heart beats. Think of colorful fruits like kiwis, oranges, grapefruit, strawberries, and blueberries. They're loaded with these protective nutrients. A good daily target is about 2 cups of fresh fruit, which might look like 1 medium apple and a handful of berries. Number 6, vegetables. This is where the real magic happens. Vegetables offer a full court press of protection for your heart, and the research shows that eating a wide variety is key because different colors and types offer different benefits. Let me break it down a little. Vegetables from the onion family, like garlic, onions, leeks, contain allicin and other compounds that can help lower blood pressure and reduce blood clotting. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts are packed with antioxidants that help your body fight inflammation. Leafy green vegetables, spinach, Swiss chard, collard greens are rich in folate, potassium, and magnesium, which are fantastic for blood pressure control. Red, orange, and yellow vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, bell peppers. Sweet potatoes are loaded with lycopene and beta carotene, powerful antioxidants, and legumes, peas, green beans, chickpeas add more fiber and plant protein. So the message is clear. Don't just eat 1 or 2 kinds of vegetables, eat the rainbow. Aim for at least 4 to 5 servings a day, which is about 2.5 to 3 cups. Number 7, nuts. I know nuts are high in fat, and many people are scared of that, but you have to look at the type of fat. Nuts are rich in unsaturated fats, the healthy kind. A small handful of nuts like almonds, walnuts, pecans, or pistachios provides a great mix of these healthy fats, along with fiber and plant sterols. Plant sterols are compounds that actually compete with cholesterol for absorption in your gut, helping to lower your LDL levels. So a daily serving of nuts, and we're talking about a small handful, about 1 ounce or a quarter cup, which is roughly 24 almonds or 14 walnut halves, is a fantastic habit. Just please choose the unsalted. Raw or dry roasted varieties. Stay away from the ones coated in sugar or tons of salt. Number 8, coffee. For many of my patients, coffee is an essential part of their morning routine. And the good news is, for most people, moderate coffee consumption is not only safe, but may actually be beneficial for your heart. Large observational studies have found that people who drink moderate amounts of coffee tend to have a lower risk of developing heart failure and stroke. The antioxidants in coffee, like chlorogenic acid, are thought to play a protective role. One interesting study from researchers suggested that the timing might even matter, with those drinking coffee in the morning hours seeing the strongest benefit. Now, we emphasize moderate for a healthy adult. That generally means keeping your caffeine intake to around 300 to 400 milligrams a day, which is about 3 to 4 small cups of brewed coffee. But if you struggle with anxiety, insomnia, or have a sensitive stomach, you'll want to be more cautious. Number 9, tea. Tea is another fantastic beverage choice. A massive body of research shows that regular tea drinking is linked to a lower risk of many diseases, including cardiovascular disease. The stars of the show here are compounds called polyphenols, specifically catechins in green tea and theaflavins in black tea. These are powerful antioxidants that help protect the lining of your blood vessels, improve their function, and can help prevent LDL cholesterol from becoming oxidized, which is a key step in plaque formation. Whether you prefer green, black, oolong, or white tea, they all offer benefits. Just be mindful of not overdoing it with added sugar or honey. And for some people, drinking very strong tea, especially later in the day, can interfere with sleep. And number 10, chili peppers and spices. This one might make the spice lovers out there very happy. And yes, it's true, enjoying some heat in your food might actually be good for your ticker. Research suggests that the active compound in chili peppers, called capsaicin, has anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties that may protect the heart. One large study found that people who ate spicy foods frequently, like 6 or 7 days a week, had a significantly lower risk of death from all causes, including heart disease, compared to people who rarely ate them. Now, this doesn't mean you should start eating ghost peppers if you can't handle spice. The key is to enjoy it in a way that works for you, and only if your digestive system tolerates it well. If you love a little kick in your food, go ahead and enjoy it guilt-free. But if it gives you heartburn, definitely don't force it. All right, everyone. We've covered a ton of information today. I know it can be a lot to take in, so to make sure you can really take this home and use it, I want to spend this last minute or two pulling together the absolute core takeaways. Please try to remember these 4 key points. Point number one, understand the truth and take control. Cardiovascular disease is the world's leading cause of death. But that statistic isn't a life sentence. The empowering truth is that the vast majority of it, up to 80%, can be prevented through lifestyle changes. And the single most powerful lever you have is your diet. Focus on minimizing the foods that actively clog your arteries and maximizing the foods that act as your vascular cleaning crew, and pair that with other healthy habits. Point number two, be mindful and reduce these 7 vascular cloggers to keep your arteries clear. Make a conscious effort to cut back on these categories. 1. Salt, including all the hidden sources like sauces and processed foods. Excess salt drives up blood pressure, damaging your vessel walls. 2. Fatty meats, which are high in saturated fat, raising that bad LDL cholesterol that forms plaque. 3. Organ meats, which are extremely high in dietary cholesterol. If you have high cholesterol, these need to be a rare treat. 4. Refined grains like white rice and white bread. They spike your blood sugar. Damaging vessels over time. Aim to replace half of them with whole grains. 5. Processed meats like bacon, sausages, and deli meats. They're loaded with salt and preservatives that harm your health. 6. Foods very high in saturated fat like butter, lard, and excessive use of tropical oils. And 7, and this is the big one, artificial trans fats found in many fried and processed snacks and baked goods. They both raise your bad cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol. Read those labels and avoid anything with partially hydrogenated oils. Point number 3, to actively promote clear, healthy arteries, regularly include these 10 foods in your meals. Make friends with fatty fish like salmon, whole grains like oats and quinoa, milk and yogurt, soy products like tofu and edamame, a wide variety of fresh fruits, every color of vegetable you can find, a small handful of raw nuts, moderate amounts of coffee and tea, and a little spice like chili peppers. If you enjoy them, listen to your body and go at your own pace. And point number 4, eating right is crucial, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle. Remember these 4 golden rules for a healthy heart. First, variety is key. Don't get stuck in a rut eating the same 10 foods. Aim for a wide range of different foods to get all the nutrients you need. Second, pair good nutrition with physical activity. We have to move our bodies. Even just a brisk 30-minute walk every day makes a massive difference. Third, and this is the most important one, work with your doctor. Food is incredibly powerful medicine, but it cannot replace medical treatment when you need it. Get your regular checkups and know your numbers, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your blood sugar. If your doctor prescribes medication, take it exactly as directed. Don't ever stop or change your medication on your own. And fourth, take care of your mental and emotional health. Chronic stress and anger take a real toll on your heart. Finding healthy ways to manage stress, practicing gratitude, and cultivating a positive outlook are all part of protecting your cardiovascular system. My friends, the best person to be the CEO of your health is you, and the place where you can do some of your best work for your heart is your own kitchen. I truly hope this guide gives you a practical starting point for making changes that will help you and your family live longer, healthier, and happier lives. If you found this information useful today, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos, and share it with someone you care about. Let's spread the word on how to take control of our health. As always, if you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. I'll see you in the next video.